Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. Tough times never last, but tough people do. I'm Michael Kuzilny. Hope you had a lovely week, and thank you for the pleasure of your company on this cool Wednesday night. And the lovely Alita's here as well. How are you, Alita? Thanks for joining.
Hi, everyone. I'm actually really exhausted.
Why?
We've got the holiday period with the kids. That's not what is exhausting. It's monitoring all their iPads, iPhones, computers, just with the inappropriate content. It's just so hard with 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds, just monitoring all of it.
It's a very exciting time, isn't it? And love and best wishes to all those people too who are separated and who can't see their kids over the school holidays. Or if you are seeing them, make the most of it and spend this very special time with your kids because they only get one childhood. I speak to so many people who are splitting up these days, and all the kids are seeing counsellors, and it's pretty difficult, isn't it?
Well, I didn't find monitoring all that exciting.
No.
I found it quite stressful because you've got little 8-year-old coming out to me and telling me things I only found out last year. So that was quite stressful, but I do like your point.
Yes, and if you're going through a tough issue tonight, tomorrow's another day. Just embrace each day and remember we're not going to be here forever. On tonight's show, a lovely lady, Diane. She's been on the show before a few years ago, but very down to earth. She worked in the streets of St Kilda as a prostitute. She grew up in Brighton, would you believe, and a 10-year career. Also got into the drugs, now is helping people, but we'll let the great lady explain the story. Thanks for coming, Di.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dale.
Sex worker, Michael.
Sex worker. I'm sorry, I always get it wrong. So tell me about your growing up, in your own words. Where did you grow up and what went wrong?
I was born in Scotland and I came to Australia, lived in the hostel for the migrant centre where they put the migrants. And we lived in Deer Park, which was good. That was really good because it was mainly migrants and that, and you could sort of be a kid. Then we moved to Brighton, and Brighton was sort of, was pretty fucked actually for a kid who's had all that freedom. There was paddocks, you could get lizards, frogs.
Where did you live in Brighton?
In East Brighton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mum and Dad were okay? They were normal family background?
Yeah, they were hard
both
working. They were too busy. There's a lot of pressure when you come to a new country, and then, like in Scotland, you could never own a house, no matter how hard you worked, But here, because the class system's just, it's getting like that here now, but...
there was a lot more opportunities here when they came
but
out.
the kids were really different. They weren't as free, they didn't play kick to kick on the road, or they didn't build bonfires, and you know what I mean? It wasn't the same freedom.
A bit more restrictive.
Yeah.
Free
and the kids were all the same too. We were all migrants.
At what
Greeks,
age
Italians, Yugoslavian.
Did you find, did you start taking drugs, and who did you hang around with?
I think a lot of it, I never sort of fitted in Brighton, and there was more pressure. In them days there was, the barbecues and drinking and everything, it's the norm, and it still sort of is really. But it
was really big even when we're growing up with the families. That was a big culture. It was the real 60s
and then also coming from a very big family and very hands-on family in Scotland to nothing here, no support, nothing, emotionally or anything. And, my Scottish aren't exactly warm, And I sort of was going off the tracks young, wagging and
mixing with
rebelling. Mixing with the wrong people. Also, I realised now I didn't have a lot of self-worth, and that's why I hung around with other kids that didn't have self-worth, you know.
And that's a shame, isn't it? And that, of course, then you wanted to hang around with a group, and obviously one of your friends or contacts was a sex worker and introduced you to it?
What happened was, I was using heroin, and I didn't shove guns in people's faces, or, it's an expensive drug. Yeah. So, and it was the norm too. The girls I hung around with from Win Leighton, and that sort of progressed. And it was sort of what you did.
Straight away, Diane, as soon as you...
but you don't sort of realise it.
It just escalates.
It's more running around and using and having like a secret life and not being a 9-to-5er. The thing that tipped me over the edge was my friend Gay, who died, and then they showed her on that Mike Willisey show, which is now a current affair. They showed her lying on the carpet, And she'd been awarded the state. Now it's juvenile justice, I think. You know.
She's only 16.
16, 17, and she was on the Street Kids documentary, and they wanted to capitalise on that and get the media being how it was, and they like just sort of took advantage and sort of stretched it out, and all of us were sitting there watching, and we saw her dead. It was just really weird because we knew she had died, and then when they showed it, she'd been dead for like 2 days or something. But I even spoke to my friends and said, fuck, you know, because when they showed her, I remember looking and thinking, keep going, keep doing, the ambulance guys, keep going,
so they
keep
actually
going.
had footage of them working on it.
And I just was thinking, oh, come on, gay, get up, you know, but, and then in my head I was thinking, I didn't say it out loud or anything.
Dead, yeah.
And then all of us, there was a whole stack of us, we just shut up, we didn't say anything, and then the ad come on and we didn't talk. We were all really traumatised. I didn't realise that
shock,
then.
you realise that's it.
Yeah.
It's a very sad incident. I want to take you to the journey. How did you end up in St Kilda? A lot of viewers would say, well,
that
how did
was
you
what
end
tipped
up
me over the edge. I didn't want to be alive anymore. I didn't want to function in
what happened
life.
there?
Like a death wish.
I had a death wish. I hated the world because of all the suffering. She'd been awarded the state, and she'd grown up in a, you know, from Allambie and then Winlayton.
Yes.
And when they went on, the staff went on holiday, she got put in foster homes, and she'd be molested. And
so, sweetie, you're on the heroin. You've got this
see,
habit.
and in death, they took advantage. You know what I mean? They didn't.
It was like you guys were nothing. You were
addicts.
That's it. So it's a worthless life, so we can keep on showing
you. And she
you.
was just a really
and
good
Diane,
person.
and like you said, you weren't doing burgs and armed robberies to get the money, so
No.
you worked on the street. How much money did you need to make a night, I suppose, to cover your
You didn't sort of
heroin
look at it
addiction?
like that. It was just every time you had a hit, you know, $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us about the St Kilda in the 80s.
It was different then. It was sort of more a community sort of feeling. Like if you saw a young kid down the street, you know, you'd kick them off. Or if someone was undercutting or not using condoms, you pulled them up. You know, the trannies were the best in organising it because they had shoppers, what they call like shoppers, like what they do in the shops where they send people in to see if the girl's doing the right thing or a boy or whatever, you know, and if they're undercutting or so, yeah. And
the trannies would control that.
Yeah, the trannies were really good.
Yeah.
There was a guy that came down one day that had a gun, and I remember it was Crystal, who's she's since died, but he got her. He bashed her and robbed her because she was sort of strong. He couldn't overpower her, and then she took off. And then I saw this transvestite, and he was dressed up like a woman working, and the mug had got him and pulled his wig off, and his money was under there. And then he's telling me he got away, and he's telling me, as he's telling me, this mug comes around, he's got the gun, I know he's got the gun, and Crystal had already said, I'm going to the Jacks, and I'm going, gun, say gun. As soon as you say gun, bang, the Jacks will be there down the street, you know. And that's not considered lagging down the street.
How were the police in those days? Would they charge you for loitering, for prostitution, or would they give you a
usually
warning?
only if they had a blitz on. They wanted an undercover.
Because remember, I worked there probably around the same time.
I told you. Once he pulled me over once when I had some sunnies. I knocked a whole stack of sunnies.
And what did he do?
I probably did.
He asked for a pair.
But we might talk about that after the next break. We'll be back very shortly on Tough Times Never Last with a lovely Di sharing her journey through the 80s. Welcome back to the show. Tough times never last, but tough people do. And you know, people ring me up all the time. I've been around this criminal justice system for many, many years now, and everyone's got issues. The difference about some people, they know how to sort of handle those issues. They realise that everybody goes through the sickness, the relationship problems, the money problems, and then death at the end. And other people, unfortunately, don't cope too well. It seems to me that life is getting so complex now that people aren't coping with their finances, their relationships, even their mental health. They say by 2025, Alida, the normal condition will be to be depressed.
There's almost 1 in 3 now they're saying out there
Yes.
that are depressed. And, you know, having people like Di come on the show who's had such a past of heroin and prostitution, and being able to pull herself out of that, through depression and everything, and having that in her past and moving forward, and all she wants to do now is help people, help the kids on the street, help the prostitutes, help young kids, and just giving advice to people.
And that's quite remarkable. And, you know, over the last 7 years, we've had quite a few remarkable stories, people on the couch. But this lady is really down to earth, and she's not too worried about the opinions of other people. She says it the way she is. She's been a sex worker. She's been a heroin addict. She's done a few stints behind bars. But she's a great mum, and she's now turned her past into helping others.
Mm.
Yeah?
And you're a great person.
Yeah, share a bit more. She used to be a lot more... you've turned shy in the last year.
I know.
Must be with a new hairstyle.
I'm just going to say to you, I know why she's gone a bit shy, because Di has not heard many compliments in her life, and I would say that. And I've got to say to you, she's become a very good friend of mine, and I know that as time is moving on for Di, she's creating, because she's such a great person, creating such great friendships.
Well, let me say this: you're looking very beautiful, young lady.
Thank you.
Have you? You've got a good hairdresser there.
Yeah, Ken, from Hair World at Southland.
Oh, Southland.
Oh, you look gorgeous.
Tell me about some of the, because it's time so limited, some of the really memorable bad stuff that happened on the street.
Jesus
because
Christ, man.
The gun.
I've had so many. You know, once I remember standing down the street and Nick, my ex, goes, shit, there's a sight you wouldn't see. And I turned around and there's this guy on this huge horse coming down with a cowboy hat, the boots and everything, you know. I remember once having a hit in the back of some flats, and a copper on a horse came past.
A copper on a horse?
And looking over the fence, yeah.
God,
yeah.
what was he doing there?
But
I don't know, I've had a lot of things.
But you're really lucky to be alive. Like,
oh yeah,
realistically.
I've been clinically dead. I remember just once when I got out of jail, I was clinically dead like 4 times in 1 week, and then and I was with Nick still then. And then on the Saturday, I don't know, we somehow got separated, and then like he saw me on the Sunday, he goes, oh my God, where you been?
So they revived you?
He thought I'd OD, and he rang up the Alfred, and they go, no, she's not here tonight, ring back later, because she was here Monday, Wednesday, you know.
ODing all the time?
Di, being a policeman in St Kilda was a bit like a kid in a lolly shop for people who had slimy minds. When I was there were several people having... sex or having relations with sex workers,
Yeah.
And,
I'd get so many times.
And that's right, folks. People always think, you know, if you're in a position of power, you're a good man or a good woman, but there's good and bad in everything. I remember years ago there was several people having affairs with working girls, and, you know, some people also in homosexual relationships. Some of the police officers.
But I've had coppers come up and say, you know, show us your tits or suck on my dick, and just stuff like that. I'd tell them to get fucked.
Tell us the story about the guy that also, there was a thing in those days that you I don't know, the whole group of you went around saying, oh, don't...
If a copper ever throws a gun at you, don't catch it. You got to sit on your hands like that. So that's everyone sort of warned you about it.
Because it was putting your fingerprints on the gun.
Yeah, and once it happened to Nick, he was at St Kilda, and this copper hated his guts. And what happened was he saw him down Fitzroy Street, and he told him to get off out of his area. And so Nick took off because he knew he could get loaded, you know, loaded up. So he went to Brighton Road, and he got to, you know, St Kilda, that primary school on St Kilda Road or Brighton Road, you know.
St Michael's? No.
No, it's a public school. It's not it's just past the town hall going towards Brighton, you know. Away from St Kilda.
Oh, yes.
On the left? Well, that had been robbed, and he got to about there, and this copper's turned up. There's all other jack cars there, and then this one's rocked up, and he goes to his cop mate, oh, you'll do. So he's grabbed him, taken him to Chapel Street, to the jack shop, and stripped him. And he had a gun, he was sort of in his thing, and he's going like this, you know, grab it, you know, and the other cop
egging him on.
Yeah, and the other cop is standing like this with his gun pointed at him, and Nick didn't grab it, and he knew what was coming, so he sat on his hands, And the cop has taken it out of his upholster thing, and he's thrown it at him, and he sort of hit him on the head. He didn't catch it, you know. And
that's
yeah,
the cop.
but then I reported that cop with father and his
Well, Di's quite right, because back in the 80s, you know, whenever you never wanted to charge somebody, it was all put up in the ceiling there, anything from drugs to guns and knives, and it was a fact because it was reported in the news that when ethical standards found all that stuff. So things have certainly changed.
Not that it's still dirty. It's just harder to prove.
You know, there's good and bad.
You
in
know, I
everything.
remember being in the cells, and I heard the coppers talking, and the cops had gotten a call to someone's on a roof, and the people on holiday had notified the jacks that they were going on a holiday, and so the cops have turned up, and it was coppers robbing the house. And then they found out where the stolen goods was. They'd been putting stuff in there and not, you know, recording it. So yeah, they got
a lot of things went missing in those days.
No wonder so many ex-colleagues of mine had nice stereos and nice cars and nice things. But
and a lot of them are in power now.
Indeed.
Very scary.
We might talk about power, and we might talk about that funky T-shirt after the next break. Don't go away. Wednesday night on Tough Times Never Last. Welcome back to the show. Hope you're having a lovely week and a lovely night. You know, I get a lot of clients come in, they're in trouble with the law, and they come in and they share their stories. You know, it's good when somebody really takes responsibility for their lives and realises they're going to go through the fire and get through the challenges. But some people just have these self-pity parties, don't they? Oh, this is happening, the wife left me, and this and that, I'm unemployed, I get kicked out of home, and you know, it's that bad stuff happens to all of us. We just have to be a little bit more stronger and get through those tough issues, and just not always concentrate on the negative things, but just enjoy, you know, the beautiful things that that everybody can experience. So yes, tough issues, Alita, happen for everybody, don't they?
Well, I'm just big on, at the moment, I'm okay. Like, it doesn't have to be anything bigger. You know, I'm okay. I think if I'm okay, that's sublime, actually. So I think sometimes you can expect too much. Yes. And then, well, I don't like being bitterly disappointed.
It's like the gold watch or the new Porsche or the new relationship. You know, we look at the watch for a while, and then all of a sudden it's great the first week, and then at the end we don't even polish it on anymore. The same with the car. Unfortunately, we get too familiar, and we're always chasing fresh excitement. So the mind is like a pinball machine, one day happy, one day sad. So if we change the internals rather than the externals all the time, we can, just like Alita said, we can have this inner contentment. We don't have to be smiling all the time, but sometimes it's just great to be alive. I was watching the news this morning at the gym there at St Kilda, Channel 10 I think, and they were showing how many people are born every minute, and how many people were dying every minute. And it was just clicking over all over the world. 1,000, 10,000, 60 million people die every single year on this beautiful planet. So don't always think and believe we're going to be there until we're 80. You know, when I was a policeman, I gave so many death messages. And I spoke about this, Mitch, at Toastmasters, didn't I? And none of those people ever believed they're going to die that very day. So treat your loved ones with respect, and treat them every day like you won't see them again. Back to you, young lady. Your hair's looking good.
Good point. I'm sure Diane realises that with the close to death you've been.
Who are your loved ones? Who do you love? Besides?
My kids.
Yeah.
My kids.
You're a great mum,
I don't see my family anymore because
no.
I just got sick of being put down and told a shit mum, or you know,
yeah.
or my
Felt
kids
judged.
too. And I realise how that affects your self-worth. And your self-worth, when you have a low opinion of yourself, that's a lot of the depression just there in itself.
Sure.
So you
know,
cannot be
I've done a
around
lot of work on myself.
You have?
At the moment, I'm seeing a Jungian psychologist, which
Wow.
is really deep. I saw Helen Barnacle for a while,
amazing.
which helped. She helped me, but I had so much stuff to work on, and then there was a lot of scars from the street. You know,
Helen Barnacle, that's right.
she was in jail.
In prison, yes.
Yeah, she
and
was
she
in
wrote
jail,
a book.
and she changed the system. She got before you only had sort of literacy, and then it had Her Majesty's Prison when you got your certificates, which you couldn't get you anywhere, you know. So she got it changed so that you could do like an absentee course from jail, and it would be, say, Fairley. It was with Fairfield TAFE or whatever.
So she's really proactive in the prisons to helping people.
And she just lost her funding for the theatre group she was doing, and that was because of the Herald Sun. You know, they did this story about how great and how easy it is in jail, which is a load of shit.
Oh, you know. So they found that they
cut the funding. Yeah.
Diane, they say, don't die with the music still inside you. The music is the passion. There's so many people doing jobs they don't really want to do, but have been forced to do by the parents or the expectations of society.
Yeah.
What's the music in you? What are you doing now to...
My thing, what's
your
sort of
thing?
Nourishes my soul is helping people. I worked out in the food van in Collingwood, handing out food with everyone else, just talking. And I get a lot of the people who I'm with.
Who rocks up all the...
just people, some people are homeless, no, not all. Some people have got somewhere to live, but it's really hard for them financially.
Can I come and eat?
Probably not.
I'll pay.
Well, if you pay, yeah, probably.
Yeah, it'd be good to...
no, you could come and volunteer. That'd be cool.
We might do a show from there.
I don't know. It's not... And that's what I noticed. The street's really different. It's quite a lot of anger.
Is it?
And, because I know just the way the welfare system is now out there, it's really fucked. It's really just the government controls a lot through the funding, and so you got all the agencies. They don't work together, or they don't. They sort of cater to the funding, not to the people. And a lot of the funding goes to
what's that?
CEOs and executives. And this is I work on the food van with a girl called Kira, and she's got 2 other friends, and they're passionate about people like myself, like people that come on this show. Yeah. But at the moment, it's a soup van, and they're just getting the sort of showing the richness, the tapestry of Melbourne, of the people that are on the streets and that are struggling. And
so it's their
because I used to use a food van when it first came down St Kilda. Whenever I was starving, I'd go and grab a pie or something. Yeah. And so now I do voluntary work. So she's sort of doing stories at the moment. It's people that are either using the van or do voluntary work.
And are you still batting for some of the sex workers?
Yeah.
I remember years ago you were helping young
I've got
girls.
a lot of friends that are quite powerful, work in the sex industry.
Because you started the co-op,
I know even, I can't remember her name now. A lot of them were at the Prostitutes Collective when it first was founded, and that's how I know them. And as I said, I did the opening speech for the Prostitutes Collective, so I have and I helped get people in the door, because no one would go near anywhere where they said they were handing out syringes. It was like, oh, bullshit, this is a setup, or what's, because the coppers used to sit out the front of chemists waiting for you to come out so they could charge you with, see if you were holding, and just shake down the chemists
too. So
you
made them feel comfortable to go.
People trusted me on the street.
Just before we finish, for all the viewers, it's probably interesting to realise that she's you're off all that stuff and you're living a very healthy lifestyle. Tell us about your lifestyle now. No drugs, not too much grog?
No. My face is up on the UN building in New York.
Wow.
The second in charge requested a photo with me because I did a speech with the Honourable Michael Kirby on just on policies, on bad policies and how they affect people like myself. And I also read out a poem about my friend Gay, and that I wrote for her once when I was in jail.
Amazing.
And they had Brian Dorr was the MC, so that was really cool. And that sort of helped me come into myself. And Gerard Lethbridge, who was my solicitor.
He's a decent fella.
He came, he's the judge now. That was really cool.
He's a lovely magistrate. But
he's a really good guy.
We're going to have you back with more exciting stories about all the great things you're doing.
And I want to give my username.
We'll give the username next time, but we better round off.
Tank Girl, she's going to be blogging.
All right.
Yeah, because by the time it goes to air...
All right, well, thank you very much for watching. Tough Times Never Last. Have a lovely week. That was Diane. Thank you very much, Alita, for joining in, and we'll see you next Wednesday night. Love and best wishes. Good night.